So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it and you won't do it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it?
Fact-checking the fact-checkers of ABC News.
Let's get ready to rumble! You can't handle the truth. Somebody on top of the line!
Hi, I'm Pastor Marty. Welcome to the Afternoon Drive. Make sure you're a subscriber to the channel, and once you are, smack the bell, click the word all. That will give you notification of my rants, my ravings, my undeniably flawless reasonings. Please like and share this video. That's the way that we get the word out that we're here. Thank you so much for watching the Afternoon Drive. Did she or didn't she win the debate? That is the ongoing debate following the debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald J. Trump. Now, there are those that are saying she absolutely won this, but when you look at the polling from the undecideds, she absolutely did not win the debate. Now, of course, Donald Trump and Team Trump is saying what they need to say, that yes, of course, he won this, and the reason that she wants a rematch is this is what happens when a prize fighter gets knocked out and loses the fight. First thing he says is, I want a rematch, and that's what Kamala's doing. Of course, Trump has said no. Harris is trying to spin this as he's a coward. I would remind everyone that Donald Trump offered her 3 debates before this debate. She backed out of all of them but this one debate. Trump showed up for it. It was not his best night, but understand he was forced to play defense most of the night. Now, he came across as angry, and he's out on the campaign trail and making the case to the American people. You're right, I'm angry. I am angry at what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have done to this country. I'm angry about it. And he has quickly pivoted and promoting even more ideas and ways to help the American middle class. Again, as Kamala Harris speaks in platitudes that absolutely no one really understands what it is that she's saying, or, hey, she's going to give you an extra tax credit on kids so that you can afford a new car seat. Wow. Wow. Over the course of a whole year of not being able to afford groceries or gas or, be able to have a down payment and pay a mortgage on a house, I'll have $100 to go to Costco and get a car seat. Wow. Real helpful, Kamala. So what does Donald Trump do? He rolls out another new idea that Kamala Harris will probably copy tomorrow, and that is no tax on overtime. Bum, ba-dum, bum. I mean, that and the no tax on tips, that is huge for the American middle class. Absolutely. People that are putting their 40 hours in and then they want to pick up an extra shift because they need that extra money to help the family. And by the time they've worked from 40 hours to 55 hours, maybe even 60 hours, and they get the paycheck and it's only all that work and it's an extra $50 because it all got eaten up and consumed by taxes. And Trump said, let's make this really simple. No tax after 40 hours. Boom. That is huge. That is a game changer right there. And they need to do everything they can to get the word out on that. But there's an interesting development happening now. There are people, even on the left, calling for an investigation into how ABC News handled the debate with Ms. Harris. Donald Trump out there, of course, saying it's rigged. He used that word a lot, and I worry that sometimes people get tone deaf to it. But we're finding out that the female moderator just happened to be a sorority sister of Kamala Harris. Well, Shazam, Batman. It's not like, fraternity brothers and sorority sisters. It's not like they have this unwritten rule that, they look out for each other. It's kind of like a secret society, I got your back for the rest of your life. This fraternal order. Your sorority sister sitting there asking questions to paint you in the best possible light and framing every question. Donald Trump, you're evil and awful. Can you please explain yourself? Ms. Harris, he is evil and awful. Can you please tell us why you believe that is correct? That was the way the night went. But Mark Penn, who was a Clinton pollster working for both Bill and Hillary from 1995 to 2008, on a recent podcast said there needs to be a full internal investigation into ABC News. He said they need to bring in an outside law firm and they need to look at every email, every text that took place between the moderators and the ABC News team that was putting this debate together and the Harris campaign. And he said it was very obvious. And you can read the transcript now in the Wall Street Journal from this podcast. He said, very obvious that at the very outset, the moderators made a conscious decision. They would fact check Donald Trump, but they would not fact check Kamala Harris. And Mark Penn, again, not a Trump supporter, not a Republican, worked for the Clintons, said there were things that came out of Kamala's mouth that should have immediately been challenged. And we all know that when she gets challenged and pushed back, she kind of unravels. And we would have seen the real Kamala, and the debate would have turned out a lot differently. She knew she was in friendly water. She could say whatever she wanted to say, and she wouldn't be challenged other than from Donald Trump, and that she would just give those snooty little looks and roll her eyes and, do that whole, brat girl, schoolgirl thing, which, again, I don't think that played with the American people at all. And I think the polling is showing that among undecided voters, it's done. And when you see these polls that say, Kamala builds lead over Trump, no, Kamala is building enthusiasm among the Democrats. She's not gaining any new voters. She's not widening at all her outreach. Donald Trump is. And as Mark Penn went on to say, there were things that could have easily been fact-checked and debunked. Ms. Harris, Donald Trump is on record and has said repeatedly he does not support a national ban on abortion. Donald Trump has said repeatedly that he is not opposed to IVF, internal vitro fertilization. In fact, he's proposing a plan that the government would pay for it. Madam Vice President, Donald Trump's statement regarding a bloodbath was not talking about a literal physical riot in the streets if he doesn't win re-election, but it was to the auto industry there would be an economic bloodbath. Donald Trump spent most of the night being forced to defend himself, and that was a statement made by Mark Penn. He said if Donald Trump had been allowed to articulate his policies and go on offense a little bit, again, it would have been a completely different debate. And Mark Penn even gave some advice to the Trump campaign. He said what you need to do is mail out the ACLU questionnaire that Kamala Harris filled out when she was running for Senate from California to the U.S. Senate. Because on that questionnaire, she stated that she supports the funding of gender reassignment surgery for illegal aliens while they're incarcerated. There has been no bigger voice against that level of insanity than Megyn Kelly.
I'm allowed to criticize Taylor Swift, and I don't give a who gets upset. This is disgusting. If she wants to vote Harris Walz, she can do it all she wants. But to say the reason she's doing it is because of Tim Walz's stance on LGBTQ, F you, Taylor Swift, and F all of the people who want to see these children have body parts chopped off and watch them sterilized under the age of consent, and then will ride off to their multi-gazillion-dollar mansions, never to think of them again.
Boom. On the pet issue, they're eating pets. NPR is saying, yeah, this is actually happening. You have now hundreds of people online saying this is absolutely happening. The fact that some Democratic city managers don't want to acknowledge it because they're trying to attract business there. But yes, there are now people walking around with their video cameras, and we saw the woman on video grab the cat, snap its neck, and begin to prepare it to eat it. They're walking into Walmart. They're eating the fruit in the vegetable displays when they first walk in, and then they're just, throwing the peels and things on the floor. And it's a culture they don't understand. Really, you're allowed to steal in Haiti? You just walk into a food market and start eating? But apparently, some people say, yeah, that's part of the culture. They walk down aisles and open up spaghetti sauce jars, and with their fingers, they eat out of it and then set the jar back on the shelf. This is really happening, and it is part of the Harris-Biden immigration border disaster. And again, the fact checkers got it wrong. And now you have the Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America group. They are demanding that ABC News correct the erroneous statement where they fact-checked Donald Trump and said there are no post-birth abortions in this country. And that is factually incorrect. It's called born alive. The child actually survives the abortion, and then they leave the child on a gurney, on a table, unattended, rendering it absolutely no help, nothing to save the child's life, and they simply let the child, for however many hours or days it takes, with no food, no water, no life-saving of any kind, die. It's happened 8 times, according to Susan B. Anthony, Pro-Life America, 8 times in the state of Minnesota under Governor Walz's watch. Republicans tried to put forth a bill called the Born Alive Protection Act. The Born Alive Protection Act was simply this: that if the child actually made it outside the womb and was still alive, that the doctors and nurses and medical professionals in the room would be obligated to then step in and say this is now a born child and to render life-saving care. Tim Walz voted for that. He voted for that bill and then immediately issued an apology for voting for it. It came up as a tie. Kamala Harris, as a U.S. Senator, broke the tie by voting no. In other words, she voted no. We will not render life-saving care to a baby that survives an abortion. That's Kamala Harris. And Mark Penn, a Clinton advisor, a Clinton pollster, said, before you start doing victory laps that Kamala won this big debate, it really was 3 against 1. There was no pushback on Kamala. Therefore, an investigation is warranted.